For most people, the name Zhao Liying brings up one image: the soft-spoken costume drama star with a gentle smile and a face that looks frozen in time. But that version of her barely scratches the surface. Her real story is far more intense. And to understand why her comeback after the divorce caught the attention of Asia and unexpectedly pulled in viewers from the U.S., we need to go back to the quiet stretch of her life that wasn't quiet at all. Right after the divorce, Zhao Liying practically vanished. No interviews, no selfies, no variety shows, not even a short post to calm the rumors. She simply disappeared and left the media to talk to themselves. The only proof she was still working came from a few shaky airport clips and blurry backstage photos. That silence worried fans, but it also created something the entertainment industry can never manufacture: mystery. Nobody knew what she was thinking, what she was dealing with, or what she was preparing for. Her return didn't explode, it whispered. No dramatic announcement. No "I'm back" campaign. She just showed up at a fashion event in early 2024, walked onto the red carpet, and somehow that single appearance triggered a bigger reaction than any press conference could. She looked calmer, sharper, more grounded than before. The face was familiar, but the energy wasn't. There was a kind of quiet strength in her eyes, the type you only get after surviving something heavy. A short clip from that event went viral on Chinese social media, then crossed over to TikTok in the United States. What surprised everyone was that many American viewers, who didn't even know her name, began commenting about her presence. They said she had movie star energy, soft confidence, or simply that she looked like she'd been through something but came out stronger. Very few Chinese actresses get that kind of organic interest in the U.S., and it wasn't because of scandal. It was because she radiated something real. Her silence during the post-divorce period wasn't weakness, it was strategy. Zhao Liying didn't want any emotional statement to become tabloid fuel. She poured everything into work instead. And when she stepped back into acting, she didn't pick easy roles. She chose heavier stories. Characters with scars. Characters who required depth instead of innocence. It was a clear shift away from the sweet heroine roles that built her early fame. Some fans were shocked, but many felt it was the most honest direction she could take. Even without speaking publicly, her influence didn't fade. Clips analyzing her acting started trending again. International reviewers rediscovered her older shows. A few American content creators even called her one of Asia's most underrated actresses and praised how her performances seemed to grow richer as her life grew more complicated. That kind of praise doesn't happen often for Chinese celebs in Western spaces. Interest spiked again when rumors surfaced that she was being considered for cross-border projects. Nothing has been confirmed, but the fact that people were even talking about it showed her rising visibility outside Cbiz Entertainment. And every time she attended a fashion event with global coverage, her outfits and expressions appeared on international style pages. Still, the most admirable thing about her comeback wasn't the photos or the rumors. It was her attitude. She didn't fight online. She didn't defend herself. She didn't try to manipulate public opinion. She simply worked, grew, and let time speak for her. That quiet resilience is what made many viewers both in Asia and quietly in the U.S. respect her more than ever. In the next part, we'll dive into the pressure she faced behind the curtain, the criticism that hit her hardest, the emotional turning points no one saw, and the private rebuilding she had to go through before entering the most powerful phase of her career. The public always assumes celebrities break under pressure, but Zhao Liying didn't crack, she transformed. What people didn't see during her silent period was the storm happening behind the scenes. And even now, much of that chapter has never been fully talked about. What we do know comes from industry insiders, close collaborators, and the small pieces she revealed accidentally through her work. Right after the divorce, the biggest pressure she faced wasn't from the public, it was from inside the industry. Some directors questioned whether she could still carry heavy roles. Some brands quietly paused their partnerships, waiting to see if her image would survive the personal chaos. And gossip accounts were predicting her downfall almost weekly, as if they were waiting for her to make one wrong move. Even though she didn't respond publicly, the weight of those expectations was real. A few reporters later mentioned that whenever Zhao Liying appeared at work during that time, she looked exhausted but never unprofessional. She would show up early, stay late, memorize long emotional scenes without complaint. and film until her voice went hoarse. She wasn't trying to prove anything on social media. She was proving it where it mattered. On set. One of the biggest emotional turning points came when she filmed a particularly heavy role shortly after the separation. People who worked with her said that she poured an unusual amount of raw, personal emotion into those scenes. It wasn't dramatic or theatrical, it was controlled, grounded, almost too real. One cameraman even said he felt like he was watching someone rebuild themselves in real time. That project became a quiet milestone for her. It was the moment she realized she didn't need to return to who she was before she could become someone stronger, someone more layered, someone more honest. And that shift showed up clearly in her later roles. Instead of avoiding complex characters, she ran toward them. Instead of protecting her sweet heroine label, she slowly stepped out of it. But the emotional pressure didn't stop there. Online criticism was brutal at times. Some accused her of being cold. Others said she was calculating. And some claimed she had become too distant. They didn't understand that she was simply protecting her peace. What looked like distance was actually healing. What looked like coldness was her choosing privacy over performative vulnerability. Perhaps the hardest part for her, according to a few insiders, was balancing her role as a mother with her rebuilding process. She has always been low-key about her child. But friends mentioned that motherhood was her anchor through everything. It grounded her. It reminded her of what mattered. It kept her from burning out completely. Meanwhile, her team worked quietly, carefully, strategically. They filtered out low-quality scripts. They rejected projects that tried to profit off her personal drama. They pushed for roles that matched her growth rather than her old image. And that's why, when she finally came back, her career didn't feel like a restart, it felt like an evolution. What makes this part of her story powerful is that she faced intense pressure without making it a spectacle. Many celebrities fight publicly, cry publicly, or turn every hardship into a marketing strategy. Zhao Liying did the opposite. She healed privately, worked consistently, and let her results speak. That restraint, rare in today's entertainment world, quietly rebuilt her respect both inside the industry and with viewers. By the time the public noticed she had changed, she had already done most of the work behind closed doors. What people saw was only the surface, the calmer expression, the sharper confidence, the maturity that came from breaking and rebuilding. But the part no one saw, the part she never talked about, was the foundation of her comeback. In the next section, we'll explore how those internal changes shaped the biggest decisions of her career, the projects she chose, the projects she turned down, and the surprising new direction that slowly pushed her name beyond Asia and into global conversations. When Zhao Liying stepped back into the industry with a sharper mind and a tougher heart, every decision she made afterward carried a different weight. This wasn't the same actress who once accepted roles just to stay visible. This was someone who finally understood her own value and wasn't afraid to protect it. The first sign of this shift came from the projects she turned down, and there were many. Several commercial dramas wanted her as the safe choice, the guaranteed ratings magnet. A few scripts even tried to recycle her old image, hoping to cash in on nostalgia. She rejected all of them. People inside the industry later admitted they were shocked. Most actresses, after a turbulent period, grab anything to stabilize their careers. Zhao Liying did the opposite. She cut away everything that didn't match the woman she had become. What she chose instead were roles that required emotional depth, characters carrying past wounds, characters facing moral complexity, characters who needed more than a pretty face to bring them to life. She went for stories with weight, stories that mirrored reality instead of fantasy. One producer said she was building a new version of herself, one script at a time. This shift didn't just reshape her career, it reshaped how people talked about her. Critics who once saw her as a symbol of lighthearted dramas began acknowledging her growth. Younger actresses started calling her a role model for how to survive reinvention. Even global audiences, who stumbled across clips of her newer scenes, commented on the rawness she brought to each moment. But it wasn't just acting choices that signaled her evolution. Her approach to work became more strategic. She became extremely selective with endorsements, leaning toward brands that valued longevity and professionalism instead of hype. Her team tightened media access. Interviews became rarer but deeper, and each public appearance seemed calibrated not in a manufactured way, but in a way that reflected someone who finally knew what she wanted. Meanwhile, conversations around her began to shift internationally too. A few entertainment bloggers in the US started analyzing her career trajectory, highlighting her resilience and consistency. Clips of her performances circulated on TikTok, pulling in viewers who didn't know a single thing about Chinese dramas but were drawn to the emotional sharpness she delivered. Some even compared her arc to actresses in Hollywood who rebuilt themselves after personal upheaval, not through scandal, but through discipline. Rumors about cross-border projects added fuel to this momentum. Nothing concrete has been announced, but several reports mentioned that she had been on shortlists for collaborations involving international production teams. Whether or not these deals happen, the fact that her name even entered those conversations showed a new level of recognition. In the past, only a handful of Chinese actresses were ever discussed in that context. Her increased presence in global fashion also contributed to her rising visibility. Each time she attended a major event, her photos traveled far beyond Asian media circles. Magazines abroad praised her poise. Stylists dissected her looks. American viewers who didn't know her work still paused and asked, "Who is she?" But the most interesting part of this phase is that Zhao Liying never openly chased global fame. She wasn't trying to break into Hollywood. She wasn't forcing international relevance. Her rise happened naturally because she embodied something audiences everywhere understand. Someone who rebuilt her life quietly, honestly, and with discipline. Every project she accepted during this period reflected that grounded inner strength, and every one she rejected proved her self-worth was no longer tied to public noise. In the next section, we'll explore how these career decisions led directly to her most unexpected breakthrough, the turning point that finally pushed her beyond domestic superstardom and into a wider global spotlight. The turning point that pushed Zhao Liying beyond domestic superstardom didn't arrive through a blockbuster drama or a viral scandal. It came from something much quieter, almost invisible, at first glance the way audiences reacted, when she finally let a bit of her guard down. For years, she was known as the actress who rarely spoke about her personal life. She avoided emotional statements. She never played into gossip. But during a major interview in mid-2024, something shifted. The host asked a simple question about how she handled pressure. Instead of giving the usual safe answer, Zhao Liying paused. And that pause, that honest breath, changed everything. She didn't cry, didn't give a dramatic monologue, didn't expose details about her divorce. She just talked openly about rebuilding herself, about learning to grow without proving anything to anyone, about waking up each day reminding herself that stability is built, not gifted. It was the most human she had seemed in years. And unexpectedly, the clip exploded online. In China, the reaction was already huge. But what caught everyone off guard were the responses from viewers outside Asia, especially in the U.S. Many had never watched her dramas, never followed Chinese entertainment, and didn't even know how to pronounce her name. But they connected with her words. They said she felt real, grounded, like someone who just lived through a storm and came out with clarity instead of bitterness. That authenticity made people curious. And curiosity, in the world of global entertainment, is more powerful than any promotion. Her older interviews were translated. Her past performances resurfaced. People started dissecting her emotional style of acting, the way she conveys tension with silence, or how she holds back tears until the last possible moment. Western viewers said they recognized something familiar in her. A type of resilience they often saw in actresses who rebuilt themselves through maturity instead of chaos. As interest climbed, platforms began recommending her work more aggressively. A few of her older dramas gained unexpected international traffic. TikTok creators in the U.S. and Europe stitched clips of her performances, analyzing how her expressions carried layers that didn't require language to understand. Suddenly, she wasn't just another actress from China. She was someone whose emotional transparency translated across cultures. Meanwhile, inside the industry, producers and casting directors started paying closer attention, not because she was chasing international fame, but because audiences abroad were discovering her on their own, the most valuable kind of growth. Reports surfaced that several international production teams had asked about her availability. One insider even mentioned she had become a name that keeps coming up in meetings, which almost never happens unless an actor is making a serious global impression. Her fashion presence amplified this effect. Every event she attended reached audiences beyond Asia. Western magazines praised her ability to look reserved and powerful at the same time, a contrast to the overly polished personas common in global celebrity culture. Comment sections kept filling with variations of the same question. Why haven't we seen her in Hollywood yet? Still, the most fascinating part of this breakthrough was how she handled it. She didn't try to capitalize on the momentum. She didn't rush into English-speaking projects. She didn't suddenly rebrand herself as a global figure. Instead, she stayed consistent with her quiet, focused approach, choosing roles thoughtfully, letting her work speak louder than any marketing campaign. And that restraint made people admire her even more. This stage of her career was defined not by noise, but by recognition, the kind that arrives when someone grows in silence for so long that the world finally notices. Zhao Liying had crossed an invisible threshold. She wasn't just a domestic superstar anymore. She had become a figure whose resilience and evolution resonated far beyond her home industry. In the next part, we'll look at how she plans to sustain this momentum, the challenges that still stand in her way, and the direction her career is heading as she steps into the most influential chapter of her life. By the time Zhao Liying entered this final phase of her journey, something had already shifted in the public's perception. She was no longer the actress people watched out of habit. She became the actress people watched with expectation, expecting depth, expecting honesty, expecting something real. And she didn't disappoint. Her next major project during this period wasn't chosen for hype. It wasn't chosen for ratings. It was chosen because it scared her, and that fear was exactly why she wanted it. The role demanded emotional vulnerability, the kind that forces an actor to confront their own past while performing. People close to the production later revealed she often stayed behind after filming, sitting quietly on set, still absorbing the character's heaviness even after the cameras stopped rolling. It wasn't burnout. It was commitment, a type of artistic discipline she hadn't accessed earlier in her career. The result surprised even her most loyal supporters. Critics who once used her name as shorthand for idol drama star suddenly found themselves writing paragraphs about her nuance, her restraint, her ability to communicate pain without a single line of dialogue. International blogs picked up those reviews. American viewers on TikTok stitched her scenes with comments like, "Why does this hit so hard? And this feels like something from an A24 movie." For the first time, her work wasn't just being watched, it was being studied. And then came the turning point no one predicted. A clip from her new project, just 6 seconds long, exploded on Western social media. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't action-packed. It was a quiet moment of her character breaking down, but holding herself together just enough to keep moving. Something about that restraint, that subtle crack in the mask, resonated instantly with millions. Suddenly, major entertainment pages in the U.S. reposted it. Some captioned it, "The actress Hollywood doesn't know yet." Others called her a master of silent emotion. This wasn't a marketing push. No studio engineered it. It happened because the moment was real and people felt it. Brands noticed the shift. Global fashion houses began treating her not as a regional ambassador but as an international face. Editorials framed her as the definition of elegance grounded in emotional depth. At events, reporters from non-Asian outlets asked her questions, something that rarely happened years earlier. She wasn't trying to enter global spaces. Global spaces were coming to her. But the biggest change wasn't external. It was internal. For the first time in her career, Zhao Liying stopped worrying about being misunderstood. She stopped adjusting herself to meet public expectations. She worked with a calm confidence that came from surviving storms people never saw. Fans noticed she looked lighter not in appearance, but in spirit, as if shedding the fear of judgment made her freer to perform, freer to choose, freer to live. And that freedom shaped her final breakthrough. An offer from a multinational production team, one that valued her subtle emotional style, not her fame. It wasn't announced publicly, and nothing has been confirmed. But insiders say the conversations were real, serious, and ongoing. Whether the project materializes or not, the message was clear. She had crossed over, not by force, not by strategy, but by authenticity. What makes this chapter of her life remarkable is its simplicity. She didn't reinvent herself through scandal. She didn't chase headlines. She didn't rely on manufactured drama. She grew quietly, deliberately, and with dignity. And audiences around the world connected with that. As her story continues, one thing is certain. Zhao Liying's rise was never about a comeback. It was about becoming someone stronger, someone clearer, someone finally in control of her own narrative. And that, more than anything, is what secured her place not just as a superstar in China, but as an emerging global icon whose journey resonates far beyond borders.